Gosh, we are live. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Triple Crown Industry Chat. I've got down here episode 39. I think that must be wrong. Can't be 39, surely. It's got to be more than that. I think it's more.
We've done a lot. We've done a lot.
Loads.
Yeah, I think it's more than that. But hopefully everyone's had a great week. How are you two? You all good?
Just getting over a bug, Paul, to be honest with you, mate. Man flu last week. It was one of those, it was touch and go, not going to lie. Kept seeing a light when I was in bed, like, just a loud voice, don't go into the light. But apart from that, it's all right, yeah.
Everyone I speak to at the moment is ill. Everyone. Yeah. It's hitting hard now. The weather drops slightly and the bugs just go for it, don't they?
And plus also, people come back off holiday. And when you think about it, you're in a steel tube with loads of little jam eaters and bugs and stuff like that. So there's a lot of bugs being brought back from your Tenerifes and stuff, isn't there?
There's that, and I think the kids going back to school is the main trigger.
Yeah.
If you've got kids and they go back to school and that little breeding ground called educational facilities, that petri dish of germs is just... And I've got a double whammy because obviously Charlotte's at school, but Wendy works at a school. So there's... And bizarrely, I'm always the last one to get the bug.
Yeah.
So one of them brings it in. Yeah. But no,
I was going to make a joke there, but I don't think I'd be invited to an agency conference or anything like that, so I better not.
How was talking about agency conferences? How was PropX? Did it look good?
Do you know, it was really good. Like, I've got to give a shout out to Megan and Toby and Sophie and Harrod and everybody else that was involved. It was really, really cool. Do you know, it was excellent. It was like, I mean, it's a bit like ours when we said no selling and stuff like that. It was just so good that there was no selling. Don't get me wrong, there were sponsors there and you mingled and stuff. But with that, it's like seeing old friends. Like, you know, you see Phil and Heather from Spectre and Street and Glenn and Amy from Agent OS. Yeah. But it was brilliant. There's some really, really good talks. I miss Chris Webb's. Chris Webb, he's like teachers, coaches, self-employed people. Because obviously living north of Winterfell, haven't had my passport and jabs and stuff to go down south. Yeah, it was a bit, I missed it by about one or two, but his was quite, you know, mic drop moment. Rob Brady.
Yeah,
everybody's favorite ice tub maniac. His was a good one. I liked his. Heather's was a really good. Heather from Street. And then there was a wacky kind of professor. He came from Rent Guarantee or Guarantee Rent or something. And he was like the wackiest professor ever. He literally was a professor on AI. So obviously having a vested interest. But he was like this all over, and he was rubbing his hair and he was sighing. He was forgetting stuff, but he was brilliant. He was very good. And the topic of conversation was excellent. But everybody had 15, 20 minutes. Mike Delap, his was a good one as well. Yeah, it was just well organised. 15. I mean, we were speaking about before, Jerry. You like that sort of format, don't you?
By the way, I do think we were the first people to bring that format to the table in the estate agency land. I made a point when I had my Brighton thing that nobody could speak longer than 25 minutes, and it was bang, 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 9 till 3. So I think that's the way forward, because to sit there at one of these like the negotiator conference and listen to someone talk for 50 minutes, one person, that's a push.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Especially now as attention spans decrease. If you can hear buzzing in the background, he's not a massive wasp. It's my gardener. Andy the gardener. That's his name. Andy the gardener. So just so you know, I told him not to come now. Obviously, he listens to me because he's just fucking rocked up while we're on there.
Very middle class, you, aren't you? You got a gardener.
Yeah. This is right. I've got a mate who's a builder who's now got a housekeeper. He does well, don't get me wrong. He does all right. But his wife runs a business as well. She's got like a beauty salon type business, yeah. They've got 3 kids, like young ages. Yeah. They got the housekeeper because they worked out that they could just about afford it. So this woman comes in 3 times a week, right? And it just free, and he said it's been life-changing. To their family, it's been absolutely life-changing because the wife isn't stressed about having to do certain things. He's not stressed about having to organise stuff, which was his problem. and this housekeeper has come in and just, I think it's finding the right person. And like, I'm the reaction, like, oh, housekeeper, who do you think you are, you big time Charlie, and all that. And he was telling me how much it costs. I think he was saying it's about 1,500 quid a month, right?
1,500?
Yeah, I think it's 1,500, he said. And I think she comes in over 3 or 4 days. That might have been wrong. It might be 1,200. It weren't like, when I heard it, I weren't like, oh my God, how can you afford that? And he just sort of justified it really easily. So maybe something to consider for really busy people. Because I spoke with one of our members and they were saying how busy they are outside of work. And they're doing all right as well. So they've got the money. Yeah. If you've got the money to do it,
why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Do you know, the richer you get, it's not about money, it's about time. That's what rich people are. It's power and time, depending on where you are.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I was watching a program, and some of the richest people and most forward-thinking business people in the world, they do exactly what you said, Jerry. They buy back their time by employing people to look after everything, because they use that time to obviously develop themselves further and do more business. They're not sitting on that time. So yeah, they actually employ people to book, appointments like a PA, but really going into sort of the family stuff, cleaning and organising absolutely everything. So it's interesting.
Yeah. Like think of the weekly wash after football or sports. It's a chore for someone, and we are modern men. We chip in. Do you know what I mean? To quote Mickey Flanagan, my dad thought he was helping out by closing a cupboard door. That's my dad. Like that. Done my work. Yeah. So anyway, what else are we talking about apart from bugs and housekeepers?
We better dive into something, don't we? So I'd like to talk about how Facebook and Instagram has shifted, and agents need to be aware that if they want to get their content, free organic content, out there to more people, they need to be looking at what they're doing. So going forward, it's all about shares now.
Shares,
Shares, yeah. So in the past, it's all just been about, get likes, get comments, get people to like your page. Now the head of Instagram and also Facebook have come out and said that if you want your stuff to be seen by free people, organic people, you've got to get your content shared. So really, the shift for agents needs to be a couple of things. First of all, one which I'm sure Jerry, you can help with, is content that is shareable. We've got to start thinking about what content needs to be created, and some of the things that obviously probably a lot of the stuff that's always been gated before, like asking for email addresses, phone numbers and things like that. I think now you're going to have some of those downloads or checklists or really useful bits of content there, and encouraging people to share it, anyone they know who might benefit from it. I think that's going to be the direction, is actually saying, who do you know who would benefit from this? Who do you know who's perhaps thinking of moving, or who's a first-time buyer, or is going to be moving to their new home soon? People like to be helpful, don't they, on social media?
That's really interesting, Paul, there, that last bit you said as well about the call to actions, to be encouraging them to share.
Yeah.
Like we had a phrase in the business, we've had it for ages, years, is if they care enough, they'll share.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so, and that was one of the reasons, and I'm not sort of saying that I was ahead of the algorithmic monster, Paul, or John. But I did actually say this is why we do community content.
Yeah.
Because it's much more likely to get shared. Because it'll be like, it affects a bigger audience rather than a good house. Don't get me wrong, a good thing about how the budget might affect home buyers. If you're not a home buyer at the moment, you're not really that interested. You ain't going to share that. Do you know what I mean? But you might share 3 tips on how to have the best Halloween ever, or I don't know, 3 tips to avoid winter lurgies. Actually, I'm going to get one of the writers to write that, by the way.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the biggest mistakes that I see agents with content is often when we look at the content they're creating, it is all property, which, there needs to be a massive bit there that is property, but you need to be sprinkling in that local community content, because as you say, everyone is interested in that, and that increases the brand awareness, so that when people do think of using an agent or recommending an agent, you're one of the ones that they know. So The other one, which you highlighted slightly, which I think is a good point, it is local community, but going down to sort of hidden gems. You know, there's some really nice angles where there's a lot of great businesses, there's a lot of great things in your town which people just aren't aware of. So I think I quite like the idea of, you know, sort of highlighting some of the hidden gems in your town, and that could be, you know, that cocktail bar that no one knows about, or you know, something else like that. I think that would work really well.
Go on, John. So I've got a hidden gem, would be a brilliant one for our way.
Yeah, just to back you up, two things is you know, my coaching clients, that's one of the things we talk about is obviously, you know, follow the whole community stuff, what Jerry preaches. But start sharing stuff if you're doing a newsletter or email or physical hard copy about other businesses, especially on social media. You go in, you say, Jez's Coffee Shop. Hi, Jerry, can I just put some of these newsletters here? Can I do an interview with you? I'm going to share it on Facebook. Can you like it and share it? Then there 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people see it as well. But Hannah and Jack Shuki from Think Estate, who I'm working with at the minute, coaching, he came up with a great idea. So he's got a newsletter, and where he's based, somebody tried to jump. It sounds bizarre, but when the viaduct was first built, somebody jumped off it, like to try and see if they could swim through the river. So he's got this AI-generated article, and he's wrote a nice little bit about it. But exactly like that, like some historical facts about your area that nobody knew. I didn't realise we'd been living here. George Orwell, you know, the Centre Half for Chelsea, the book writer. He wrote a couple of his books here in 19. What was he?
In your house?
The Next Village.
Nah.
It's
lied and said it was in my house. I would have said it was there.
Oh, I haven't said that. This is a true story. If anyone wants to Google a guy called Thomas Austin, that's who my house was built for. Right, he was a rector, and he is the bloke that is attributed for releasing wild rabbits into Australia. So he's frigging hated over down under.
Wow, they would be as well because they're everywhere.
So rabbits had been there for about 60, 70 years, but like in pens and for food and stuff. But he was a bit of a toff, you know, posh upper class. A bit like a Simon Whale, but just not as mad. Very posh. And he liked shooting. Clearly wasn't very good because he kept missing, and they just kept going away, and they repopulated half of Australia.
I love that. I love the hidden gem ideas. You know what's really good as well? And this is right. Some people think they say something first time, it's new news, right? 25 years ago, I got told by an editor, right, of a newspaper, people love nostalgia. That hasn't changed. People love nostalgia. And we had a feature called Walk Down Memory Lane every week, 250 words with an old photo about something. Do you know what I mean? But I really like the hidden gems one, because I think that's a nice way of also giving back to, you know, when you find a business, I think, this is good, this. We've got one, right? So we've got an Italian deli in an industrial estate, like next to a Screwfix, in this industrial. And I went into Screwfix to get something. I went into the deli. I thought I'd just give it a try. Amazing espresso. Then I went in and had a sausage roll, a Sardinian sausage. But it's businesses like that, and they'll appreciate the support. So what you're saying, Paul, if they're online, they're likely to share that. So you get the share, they get to share.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
yeah. But
I love that. Yeah.
Old photos, you mentioned it. Old photos go mad. Old photos.
Before and afters and old photos.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you get, that's a real good tip there. If you can go and get some old photographs and then take a photograph of the same location now and then put it out there, it will just go viral.
How many people on here, estate agents, like maybe the independents or own their own shop, right? Yeah. Or they've done their own house up and they've got the history of the house and the before, the afters, and it's everybody loves old stuff.
Yeah. No, it's 100% true. But yeah. What that's so interesting, shareable. I'm going to do something around that, Paul. You've inspired me.
And you're uninspirable.
Which takes a lot of doing nowadays. Do you know what I mean?
So what are you going to cover?
What am I going to cover? I was going to cover something, but I want to share this, right? Because I think it touches on all three of what we do and what the best estate agents do. So I was speaking with a fella who's a coach. He works in the coaching setup at Brighton Hove Albion Football Club, yeah? And I said to him, like, he gets access to the first team, but not a lot. But he says we see him around the building all the time. And I said to him, it's about Danny Welbeck, a forward player. He's on a really good run at the moment, and he's looked good since he's doing really, really well, and he's 33. I said, what's the crack with Welbeck? Why do you think he's doing so well? And he went, Welbeck, Lallana, who left, and James Milner, 3 old pros, right? He said, they do more. And I've heard this phrase said before, that the best do more. And I said, what do you mean by that? Because we have a great chat. And I actually wrote it down. He said, they train more, but they prepare more. They recover more. Yeah. And this was something that they work more, we said, like that. Here was one I thought was really interesting. Two. They learn more and they listen more. These are multi-millionaire footballers, by the way. Danny Welbeck could retire tomorrow, or we could get a contract in Qatar or Saudi Arabia. James Milner walk into a coaching job. But just that fact that he was saying they just so visibly do more than the rest. Do you know what I mean? And I was thinking about this with estate agents. I was thinking, anyone that's really good, and you think about it, you think the good ones, they probably do more training for their staff. One in particular I know does more preparation for evaluation than probably they need to do, but they like to feel over-prepared than under-prepared. They do more content as well. I'm not just saying it because they'll use me, they'll use Chris, they'll use whoever, they'll generate their own content, but they're just doing more all the time. Do you know what I mean? And it's just fascinating, the parallels of it. Of the successful people do tend to do more.
Well, have you heard the stories about Kobe Bryant and like you know, I think it was end of season or whatever, and you know, all the guys were going out for a couple of drinks, and Kobe was renowned for bodies of temple, not drinking and stuff, and they were away, so it wasn't like in LA. And the guys went out and they're down by the bar, and we'll have another, you know, whatever drink and whatnot. And they got about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and says, right, we're going to go to bed. And as they were walking to bed, they passed Kobe coming the other way, going to the gym.
Wow.
4 o'clock in the morning.
This was the best. Yeah, this was the best. It is, but this is the interesting thing. You know, when people say about, oh, I'm not going to share that idea in case I copy it. I think it was you, JP, said ages ago when you met that American guy and he told you exactly what to do if you wanted to be as good as whatever he was.
Yeah.
Wow, we all know what to do. We all know what to do to get six-pack.
Yeah.
Eat less, work out more, concentrate on your core. But it's hard. So there is an element of when you see these top performers in anything, some of them are just cut differently. But I just
you say though, Jerry, first never follows.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to start getting copied of Prospector Pro completely. You know, we're expecting it, but they'll never, ever, ever, as long as I've got a hole in my arse, be anywhere near what we are, because you know it's like the old Will Smith thing when he's on the treadmill. You'll have to kill me to beat me in a treadmill. And look, it's not.
No, sorry, mate. I was going to say
it's what.
What I was going to say was totally irrelevant. I was going, the way you'll get killed on a treadmill is that nutty wife of his.
yeah, you're not wrong. But I think there's a lot of estate agents, and look, there's a fine balance between what you want in life and, you know, all that sort of stuff. But when I did my Prop X talk, I was all about resilience. It's all about, like, you know, and, you know, it might not come across as the most caring, but there's a lot of people that need to pull up the big boy and girl pants and stop woe betide me and you know, just get on with things. There are other people who, you know, generally have got mental health problems and issues, and I'm not saying that. But I can specifically, you know, just my friend circle, I know people who are taking the piss, like having days off work and saying X, Y, Z. The real ones, you know, the ones who generally have, you know, my heart goes out, hope they get the help they need, take it easy, all that sort of stuff. Others, you're just lazy. You literally want to hide behind stuff and say you can't work.
And you know what? It's so true, because the people that really, I mean, I'll be honest with you, in June, I was burnt out. I had to take 2 weeks off. And fair play to my team, they stepped up brilliantly, but I had to take it off. I was just fed up, cynical. I was knackered, right? Mental health definitely needed a break, right? But I know some people, like you said there, JP, they'll lie and say, oh yeah, I'm not feeling great today. But there's a track record of it.
Yes.
Not just periodic. Maybe they've got it chronically, who knows? But it's kind of, you know what it is with mental health nowadays? It's the bad back of the digital age.
Bad back and stress, I see that,
Bad back of the digital age. In my dad's age, why can't fucking Paddy come to work? Oh, his back's bad. Do you know what I mean? My dad would be going, bad back. They've all got bad backs. Like, yeah. Anyway, I digress. We're turning into like last of the summer wine.
So what do you want to talk about, Jerry? Were you talking about anything else?
I don't want to talk about anything else.
I don't feel well.
I feel well. Terrible. No, but I think it's something very interesting, the whole mental health thing, because you know what? I bet you next year there's something different. When you've gone on, and it might go back to physical health, and you should do this. But don't get me wrong. Like you said about Rob Brady's talks, right? His talks are really important because, like this, where he says it's fine, no more fine. It's like something Rob talks about. And I think that's right because no, I'm fine. But it's nice when somebody goes, no, I'm not feeling it today, man. I need a break. And you know, we've had that in our team with me and other people, and it's just like, fine, have a rest, but come back because the strength is to come back. Do you know what I mean?
But think about all those people who've played sport. I'll put a different analogy, right? You're trying to win the league, right? You've got a good rugby team. All of a sudden, somebody goes down screaming, rolling around the floor like a footballer. I broke my knee. You're concerned for a second, and then the ref doesn't give a penalty or a break in play. He gets up and walks off as if that was the matter. Like he just did it for attention, to get a break, to do whatever. How does everybody else feel about that? Because that's frustrating if that was my teammate. And that's what's happening when in certain circumstances, when people are just taking 2 or 3 days off, and the amount of pressure that puts on the rest of the team. And if as a business owner, you think you're the only one that's noticed that, you're absolutely deluding yourself. If you've noticed it, other people who work with that person have noticed it. And it's your job as a boss, as a business owner, as a leader, to cut out that toxicity. I think I've told you before, mate, there was Harvard Business Review where they asked 10,000 people. And they said, if we could do one thing to make your life job better, what would it be? 65%. Oh, and they give things like more money, flexi time, better tech, this, that, whatever it is. 65% of people said, just give me better people to work with.
Wow. Yeah.
Better people, meaning, you know, he's a douche or she's a douche. And I think as a group, we just need to like kind of address it. And again, I don't want everyone just, you know, jumping on and saying mental health is real. I know it's real. Of course I know it's real. Bloody Gemma suffers from anxiety and stuff like that. My best mate, he's got, I get it. But there's a lot of people who take the piss. And I think we just need, because we're getting soft. We're getting very, very soft.
It's interesting you said about resilience, because you know Arsene Wenger, the football manager, he was asked what's the #1 thing the top players had in his experience? And he said resilience. Because he said they all go through injury, they all go through misselection, they all go through bad form, but resilience. So, yeah, and you know what? It's funny though, isn't it? Because we have so much access to information that resilience will become a buzzword, another buzzword. And it will be like wallpaper. Do you know what I mean? This is what I was saying to JP, Paul, before we were talking earlier. I was that close to coming off Facebook the other day. You know, just deleting my account, just think, because the posts, most of them are just nonsense. Let's be honest. When was the last time you thought, I was really glad I read that post?
Anything you post, Jerry. Anything you post.
100%. All I post about. I did think the other day, right? I can't say this on the podcast. I don't know why I had the thought, but I was going to post it on Facebook just because it's nonsensical as most of the stuff. I thought, I wonder if cavemen knocked one out.
I think we've just lost half our viewers.
And I was going to put it on Facebook because I was thinking, I wonder. You know what I mean? Anyway,
things just come to your head.
Well, there's a big thing about this at the moment with the way the algorithms have changed. Going back to what you said, is that a couple of years ago, Zuckerberg came out and said, right, we're going to make sure that all your friends and family content gets seen first, and they did go down that route, but they found that actually the retention on the platform dropped, because what people want to see is all that, they want to see stuff that's going to kick people off, start arguing, that sort of stuff that gets people commenting angrily. There's a lot of arguments that that stuff is not being removed just because it keeps people on the platforms. So
it's interesting though, and I think maybe we've touched on this. I think this might be a recurring theme here. Is I see some posts by certain people in the industry or estate agents, and I know they're not doing anywhere near as well as they're making out. And I think to myself, it's dangerous. Somebody who might be at a different part of their life might look at that and go, "That's the way you got to do everything. Oh my God, that's how you got to behave. That's how you aspire to get this and that." And then you sort of say to them in private, "Actually, it's loads of nonsense. That's not the case. It's probably a high-end car, a house that's mortgaged up to the absolute eyeballs, and they're stressed, and their missus hates them or their husband hates them."
Yeah, it's surprising, and I think in our positions we get to see it more than others. But yeah. It does surprise me.
Between the three of us, we definitely do, because we're dealing we're suppliers of stuff to estate agents, and we have more. I think we probably have more honest conversation with agents because we're not a threat.
Yeah.
We're no threat. We're actually supposed to be there to support them. And I sort of said to one of them the other day, just don't worry about that guy. Do you know what I mean? Don't worry about that guy. Just do you. Do you know what I mean?
We did. You just look at the bloody, the balance sheet on Companies House. You can look at some of them and the bloody trading insolvent and the negative equity and stuff, and then the pinging around with the Rolexes and the big licks about opening 58 branches by Monday. And it's just the way of the world, isn't it? It's all like, look at me, how awesome am I? Some of them, honestly, they were made of chocolate that ate themselves.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but they're normally the ones I think who get content wrong. By the way, where their content is made, and this is something I see creeping in even more. I've mentioned this in the past. They make content for their peers, not their audience. So they're almost getting, I'm going to do something because I know that loads of estate agents are going on LinkedIn. Wow, that's amazing. Oh, I love that. Oh, this shot. This. That's not your audience. What, you're going to sell a house to another estate agent who's 400 miles away? No, you're not. You're not going to get their valuation. Do stuff that's relevant to your audience. This is why shareable community stuff is interesting.
I agree, because not a lot of our buyers knock about on LinkedIn. Not a lot of our buyers, like literally, are you friends with people whose house you sold with? The odd one, right? But you don't knock about with 3 or 4. If you sold the house, that's normally when you become friends with your buyers. Normally, right? You don't become friends beforehand. So you see a lot of people sharing their amazing houses on LinkedIn. You're not doing that for the good of selling the house. You're doing that. It's a bit of a willy waving contest, isn't it?
Yeah, no, 100%. Right, we've been going for half hour. We've got anything else, gents? What's happening?
No, good.
Can I ask a question, because this might be a bit of value to listeners as well? Any good podcasts you guys are listening to that are worth listening?
I've started listening to a couple of commercial property, but no.
No, I'll give I've shared this with you before, Jerry, but I visit it regularly for content, and they have experts all the time. But American Lab Coat Agents YouTube channel or group, amazing content.
They're good, but do you not find their constant emails a bit annoying?
I keep away from that. Yeah, I do get them.
Yeah, but they do like a twice daily email, it feels like. Yeah.
But they do cover absolutely everything and do a fantastic job. So that's where I pick up most of my, rather than listening to certain things. I just dive into that each week and see what's going on, because they're normally a couple of years ahead, I would say, to be honest.
True. Yeah, true. The one that I've been listening to a bit on and off is that James Sinclair. You ever heard?
Oh, he's good, James. I like him.
Yeah. And he does this good podcast where he'll take a business and he'll help a business owner, and he'll say, right, the business owner's got 100 grand turnover, wants to get to 200, blah, blah, blah. And it's just really interesting. Some of his stuff's really, really interesting. Do you know what I mean? It comes across a pretty genuine guy as well, which I like.
He does. I follow him on YouTube. I watch a lot of his YouTube videos, and it's good sense. And he's a good example. He's clearly very successful, and he does it for the right reasons. He's sharing, and he gives a damn. I liked him.
Yeah. Anyway, and on that note, lovely people. I do apologise for eating a banana in front of you, but I'm starving. I could have died. I'm sorry. Joke. I didn't have breakfast.
All right. See you later, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.